And Sharon, you want to stay up here to talk about your historical records? Sharon Lake will talk about the historical records position. And I know while she's doing that, we'll move on with the newsletter. Richie McDowell was working on the newsletter, and we've had a volunteer to help with that. And where's Franny? Yeah, Franny has volunteered to work with that and work. You know, Richie wants to.
Richie's got himself totally involved in a project at a local church, and he's got a new job going on. That's why he's not here now.
We knew it was difficult for him.
You know, I'm trying to keep him
in the loop, but there'll be plenty for him to do as the years move on. But we felt a need to communicate more with the newsletter throughout the year, because there's always things happening, and if we wait a whole year and we don't touch base with each other, it's not good. So Franny has volunteered to take that on, and she will be communicating with you via email to update everything and get us on track. So Sharon.
Hello. I racked my brains until 2 days ago trying to figure out something that I could bring to you historically. And I haven't, but now I have too much. But just bear with me, okay, real quick. I just wanted to tell you about two people, and then a third one that is in our midst today that I didn't think was going to get here, but he did. Sarah Ann Risley was born January 23rd, 1862, and was educated in the Old Smith Landing Public School in Pleasantville, which was regarded as the best school in the county until around 1880. When she was about 14 years of age, she passed the examination prescribed for a first-grade teacher's license, and she was too young to teach. 3 years later, Sarah graduated from Atlantic County Public Schools and went on to pass an advanced course. And at age 21, after teaching herself stenography, she went to New York to perfect herself in that field. She then worked as a stenographer and a private secretary for several firms, including the private secretary to the president of the Life Insurance Company of Virginia. She spent 14 years at another large commercial establishment, and during that time, she explored New York City and her local surroundings on a bicycle. Now remember, she was born in 1862, so women didn't ride bicycles. She was one of the first women in the city to ride a bicycle. In 1904, Miss Risley returned to Pleasantville and worked with her brother in the real estate business. She became deeply interested in historical and genealogical studies. Her work on the Risley, Lake, Ireland, Price, Conover, Adams, and other Atlantic County families made her unusually familiar with the origin and history of the early settlers and with their family. It is their family relationships. It is safe to say that without her services in collecting data, a genealogy of the Lake family 1915 edition could not have been written. Miss Risley was a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution and became a member of the Board of Managers of the General Lafayette chapter. She also was active in the work of the Atlantic County Historical Society from the time it was organized. Now that's Risley, and if you look on the back of your 1915 book, you'll see Risley. That's the family who helped put that book together. Something, I think I'll say it right now. Mr. Steelman came with me today, and he probably doesn't even hear me, and he's not looking up, but his dad's sister married Mr. Adams, Arthur Adams, who also helped write that book. So that's, I thought was interesting. And he said his dad was one of the first to graduate from Ocean City High School. His name was Hiram Steelman. Okay, now this is another interesting character I'd like to tell you about. Another interesting Lake character was J. Christopher Lake. Born September 2nd, that's my birthday, and he was born 100 years before me. He was known all his early life as Christopher Lake, but as a young man he did business with the United States government, and they ruled that he had to sign his first name in full. Thus, he became John C. Lake. He felt as if he had lost his identity, so he went to court and secured a judgment and decree from the Superior Court of the State of Connecticut, whereby his name was changed from John Christopher Lake to Christopher John Lake. He then could sign his first name in full and still retain his identity as Christopher. He attended the public school in Smith's Landing, Pleasantville, and later Pennington Seminary in Pennington, New Jersey. At 18, he learned the watchmaking and jewelry business, working with his brother, S. Wesley Lake, that's one of the founders of Ocean City, at Absecon, New Jersey. He took the business over when his brother entered the ministry. Christopher worked in that business for several years, but went to Philadelphia in 1874 and engaged in the window shade roller manufacturing business in partnership with his brother, Ezra B. Lake. That's another one that helped found this town, under the name of Lake Brothers. This business was sold to a Massachusetts concern, which dissolved the partnership. Then he invented his self-locking and balanced shade roller and cord roller. He arranged for their manufacture by P.S. DeVald and Company of Philadelphia on a royalty basis. Christopher had charge of the manufacturing plant at DeVald and Company. Subsequently, the Union Shade Roller Company was formed, which for a number of years carried on the business of manufacturing his inventions in shade rollers. Later, he lived in Aurora, Illinois. If you can, keep track of how many times this guy moves, okay? Later, he lived in Aurora, Illinois, where he superintended the organization of another shade roller plant. He was also on a royalty plan there. Later, he moved to Toms River, New Jersey, and established a foundry and a machine shop especially equipped for the production of iron brackets or fixtures for his shade rollers and other light castings. For many years, he supplied both of his royalty companies with their iron fixtures. Also, during these years, he helped his father, the Honorable Simon Lake, the one who put the $10,000 up to buy Ocean City, to help buy Ocean City, or Peck's Beach as it was called. Also during these years, he helped his father, the Honorable Simon Lake, and three brothers, Ezra, Wesley, and James, by serving as their director in the Ocean City Association, which promoted and established the Temperance Seaside Resort of Ocean City. In 1883, he moved his residence and foundry and machine shop from Toms River to Ocean City to provide employment to the inhabitants during the long off-season of a seaside resort. He employed from 25 to 50 people. He also went into the manufacture of self-holding steering gear for boats. That's a really important invention. He also, his more famous claim to fame is that he was the father of Simon Lake, the submarine inventor. He eventually moved to Baltimore, Maryland, and started a business with his son, Simon, called J.C. Lake & Son. They manufactured self-holding steering gears and safety winders for the dredging fleets of the Chesapeake Bay and the tributaries, thus saving a lot of lives and limbs for the men who operated those dredges. Apparently, before, the winding things would snap back and break their arms and kill them sometimes. So this self-winding apparatus really saved a lot of lives. In 1894, he went to Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey, to assist his son Simon in the trials of his first boat, the Argonaut Jr., and assisted in the organization of the Lake Submarine Company. Later, he was associated with the Lake Submarine Company in building the Argonaut. When the company moved to New York City, he moved to Brooklyn, New York, but later moved to Rutherford, New Jersey. In 1901, he was the first subscriber and one of the pioneer organizers of the Lake Torpedo Boat Company for the building of his son's submarines for governmental warfare purposes. Now you can find a lengthy account about the flying machine that he invented on page 139 of the Lake family genealogy that was written in 1915. I urge you to read your 1915 genealogy book. It's really interesting. It's not just a genealogy book. It is a wonderful history of your relatives. And I wanted to read just a little letter from a lady who apparently used to come but can't come anymore, and it was a sweet letter, so I thought I'd read it. Dear Harry and Sharon, I really enjoyed reading the newsletter and the plans for the reunion August 29th. Now that I've reached the age of 90, I no longer drive to Ocean City. I'm sure it will be a big success, but I always want to continue with the membership. I'm the granddaughter of Charles Lake Smith, whose mother was Sylvia Lake Smith, on page 99 of the Red Book. That would be the 1915 book. Thank you for all your hard work in keeping our lake legacy alive. And her name was Jan Jean Smith Jones, and she lives in Woodbury, New Jersey. So that's what I have. I just really encourage you to get involved in your own family history and keep track of those little babies that are coming, those weddings, everything. Just keep a record, because the kids aren't going to do that on their cell phones today, okay? Write it down.
You can see Sharon keeps very busy. Oh, yes.
Here. Mr. Steelman wrote a little book about the founders of Ocean City. I don't know if it was him or his father. And he has a bunch of these that he brought to the reunion. They're $5 just for his cost to have printed them, and we'll give him the money for them. So if you want one, I'm going to put these on the table out there, and you can get one, okay?
Thank you, Sharon. I'd like to see if Franny would want to come up, and we have some items that she wants to share with you as discussion for the future and things we might want to vote upon.
Hi, welcome everybody. year.